All right. So we're here today again with Miss Linda Bamber with our favorite, one of our favorite technologies for sure, the WavWatch and the sound frequencies that it runs. All these, there's 1,000 frequencies on this watch. So, Linda, we have Riley with us here with USA MedBed and Dylan, two of your huge fans that love your product. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for taking the time to visit and welcome back.
Thank you. And it's so fun to see people of different age groups responding to the Wave Watch, because it's so important that everybody starts to learn that frequencies do make a difference in our lives, no matter what age we're at. We don't want our 10-year-olds to start thinking that medicine is the only thing that they can have. It's time for them to learn that there is something coming up that's very different and a lot easier on their systems than getting into the medical prescription system that we have established today.
Yes. And you know what? That brings up such a great point because this watch has a section just for kids. So there is a section with things that are very relevant for kids. And so for parents out there, moms and dads that have kids that have any kinds of issues, Linda, maybe we'll touch on some of the frequencies that are in that section.
Mhm.
I know today I wanted to talk to you about the men's and women's frequencies that are in there because at my age, which is 36, almost 37,
I
I
love
might be
it.
off by 20 years. I might be off by 20 years, but I know that there's a lot that I use that are on there. And so for men specifically, older men, but before we go, I definitely want to get Riley's feedback and I want to know what the young people are using it for. But it's really such a great way to start off this call. This watch is good for all age groups, right? And
Mhm.
because we're, maybe in a little older, mid-range, whatever, we have a certain ones that we really sort of dial into, but there's something there for everybody. And I actually have a friend, Trey, one of our vendors that we work with, and his son had some issues that he was dealing with. So I told him the next time we go down there, I looked it up and there was a frequency code specifically for what his son needed, who's 7 years old. And I said, I'm going to bring you a watch because I want your son to have this. And on top of all the other medical stuff that they might be given or anything else, you know what? Take this watch, put it on the little your little son, and let this technology also be, something else that you're using for health and wellness to help this little kid out. So, with that being said,
That makes it
um,
exciting. Yeah.
it does make it exciting. And I think, the other thing I think is important, Linda, and I talk about this a lot, is that this is a technology that's good for general health and wellness. Now, if you have issues with different types of germs, diseases, pathogens, any of those other things, of course you want to get, a technology like this that basically is sending the frequency from the watch into your left wrist. And, we've done the demos on that, but this is general health and wellness. Like we were going to talk today about weight loss because I run the fat burning ones all the time, lymph node detox, any like detox and liver, detox and kidneys. I was thinking the other day when I was driving to work, I said, we all get our oil changed in our car, but they're not just changing the oil. What are they also changing? They're changing the filter because the filter is pulling all this toxic stuff out of your body, which is your livers, your kidneys, your thyroid. So why wouldn't you do the same thing for your body and run it through a maintenance checklist to stay healthy, just like everything else in our life does? So if you're out there thinking, well, should I get this? Well, I don't have, like enlarged prostate. I'm not, my hair is still full. It doesn't matter. There's 1,000 frequency codes. There's always general wellness maintenance, all different kinds of things. And Linda, for me personally, when we're talking about this before the call, the dental one, right? There's dental one for
Mhm.
all different types of dental issues, gum disease, gingivitis, all those different things. But it's so good to run a lot of this stuff in maintenance mode and say, do I have that issue? No, I don't. But, at 57, I can see that my gums have receded a bit, but I want to send some energy in there and keep them healthy. And, even though I have a full head of hair, it's getting a little thin back there. I run the hair loss all the time. And I told you on the last call, when I run those frequency codes, I feel tingling. There's circulation. There's about 5 or 6 for hair loss and hair growth, or actually, I should say hair growth because it's addressing hair loss. But before I get too carried away and talk away the whole hour, let's get into talking about some of your favorites. Let's talk about the men's and women's, and then we'll go to Riley and get her feedback on some of the stuff she likes. How's that?
That's great. Yeah. I have just a few things I could show you if you want me. Do you want me to go ahead and share my screen?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Let's see where we're at here. Is that working for you?
That's perfect.
Okay. So what I wanted to show you, you've already done such a great job of showing the WavWatch, and it has 1,000 different frequencies. And I started developing this about 13 years ago, and the technology wasn't even there to do it. I kind of had to wait for technology to catch up. And then lately, we've kind of have had a plethora of technology changes and some tools that we could be using. And so I thought I'd kind of introduce you to say it's time to educate ourselves about other tools also, and why the WavWatch can be something that you might want to look at. So here's a tool, just kind of, it's not quite the WavWatch. They're all different, but this one is just for stress tracking and monitoring. It monitors you. I don't know that it does anything to help balance your stress. It costs $129. The sleep and calming one down in the lower left-hand corner, you actually wear that on your wristbands and your ankles, and you have headphones, and you just have frequencies for sleep or calming, and it costs $497. Well, the WavWatch has 998 other frequencies for the same amount of money. You see where I'm kind of going with this? You've got to be alerted to this, because if you don't, you're going to be having a lot of tools in your repertoire, and maybe they're not going to be as balanced as you need them to be. So here's another wearable tool that they have out now, and it's just for motion sickness. Well, I have motion sickness and nausea and stomach ache on the WavWatch, plus 997 other frequencies. Here's one for cramps. How would you like to wear that one around? Wouldn't it be just easier to wear the WavWatch around? There's a setting for cramps,
Mm-hmm.
How about this one for Lyme's disease? It's a different one a little bit. Maybe, I'm not saying I know everything about it. It's $2,500 just for the Lyme disease frequencies. Well, I have a setting.
Just for that.
I have 20. Yeah. I have 25 settings for Lyme disease, plus 975 other ones, or even let's just go simple. Here's another one that's out. And all these are good introductions to different technology. But I want you to know, to think how many frequencies you're getting, how are they being delivered, and what's the cost, that kind of thing. So the last one I wanted to show you was a really simple one for mosquitoes, and it's got a setting to repel mosquitoes. Well, I have that setting also, plus 999 other frequencies. So anyway, I'm having fun with that. Hope that makes sense.
I do love that.
So this is why, the WavWatch can be, pretty helpful. There's thousands of targeted frequencies within each of the 1,000 frequencies. I may have up to 30 frequencies built into that set. So as far as I could computate, I have about 24,000 frequencies on the WavWatch. Okay. So it's not connected to the internet, which to me is really, really important. There's no cords or wires or patches. I think it's cost effective. You have to make your decision, and you have to compare and look to see what you're getting. Everybody has a pocketbook and know what they, might be able to work with. It's easy to add different frequencies, and it's useful for all ages and even animals. So we've already kind of highlighted that, so I hope you're kind of seeing what I'm seeing. It's the wave of the future. So, Yeah. So we wanted to talk today about men and women, and I'm just going to show you just this picture right quick. I always tell everybody the first thing in the 24-page manual is start with inflammation, pain, and trauma. You may not know what you're, doing. You get your watch in the mail, and one of the most important things, and it's a big word in medical community, is inflammation. Everything is inflammation. Well, it really is with the WavWatch too. So inflammation, pain, and trauma is a great starting place for anybody. So I took a couple of new pictures today to show you that there are these selections. So this is 3 different watches, obviously, and I have 3 different swipe screens. So you're going to just be swiping across to go from one screen to the next, to the next. And you'll have to kind of look in your book and, see what area that you want to go to. So today we're going to be talking about men's and women's, and the weight loss, basically. So if you were interested in those, or like Sean said earlier, if you have a kid, all you have to do is, swipe your screen until you can see this icon and then click it. And that's as easy as it gets, I think. What do you think, Sean?
I think it is. And Linda, the other thing that's really easy is that you provide the best manual, the book that comes with the watch. And that book has everything listed down. So every one of those icons in the book is going to give you all the different settings that are available. So even if you didn't want to swipe to go into those, you could just open up the book, go into kids, and you've got it all there. You have a really good presentation, very easy to read. And so, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just look at the book. Now, obviously, I've had this it's been a year now. It's actually been a year in December when I first met you and Carl. And
Yeah.
and so now I've really got most of it memorized. Like when you said dental, I'm like, yeah, pain category number 6 down there, boom. Like I know all the subcategories because I've done it so many
Yeah.
times. But yes, super easy. Like when it comes to being user friendly, this thing is extremely user friendly, and it's very easy to get into all those sections.
So I think my fingers are kind of jumping on this screen, but I just couldn't wait to share this picture with you. So, we've got
I
kids
love
and
that.
veterans and seniors and pets, that can use the WavWatch. And I've had testimonies. If you'll look at Tucker, he was needing some emotional support after an accident, and talk about emotions with our veterans and
Yeah.
emotions with our young children too,
Mhm.
So you can access it in many different ways. If I go back, I'll show you one more little idea right here. There is an area that says files A to Z. And if you clicked on that, you would see that it says 1010 frequency sets in there. And you could, go through and kind of organize your own ideas, but you don't have to do that. I've done it for you. I put them in these categories already. But if there's something that you're wanting to work with, there is a list of the 1,000 frequencies, but it takes quite a while to go through them. So you just want to, do it the easiest way and simplest way. And then this is what comes in your WavWatch frequency idea if you do order that. And so at this point, I do have 2 bands. I have a Velcro wristband and a leather band, and it also comes with a screen protector. And some people are not seeing that they need to pull off this screen protector right here. It's a throwaway one for shipping. And then you put the large or the correct heavier screen protector on when you get it. Okay. Just a couple more ideas that I think are important to be sharing with people is that frequencies go through your body really quickly. And Sean's already said how the watch works. There's a speaker and it goes right through your left wrist. It vibrates through the bones, goes through the skin, even your hair. Everything works with frequencies. It's just not our ears that hear things. It's our whole body. And we had frequencies taken away from us about 100 years ago, didn't we, Sean? You know all about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a good amount of history because, people often say, well, the thing that's interesting is we're explaining this technology, but this technology is actually over 100 years old. It's actually thousands of years old because you get into sound bowls and sound healing and
Yep.
all the different ways that they were using sound frequencies. But back in the early 1920s, you had Royal Rife, who was basically putting, little microorganisms and cells under a microscope and running frequencies through them to figure out, what enhanced them to operate better, and what, if it was a bad cell, like a pathogen you didn't want, what frequency you would run to get rid of it. And unfortunately, those people were not really able to get it out to the mainstream, even though published science back in the day had shown that they actually really had their hand on it. And so, when you're getting this type of technology, it's very much like Star Trek. And it's, kind of a technology now that you just put it on your wrist, and it has so much ability, but you're really harnessing, the work of Tesla. You're harnessing the work of Royal Rife. This is Tesla technology. Tesla was working with frequencies. And, some of the early stories, Linda, with Tesla, which is interesting, he's in this lab, of course, he's working, and he sees that all these vegetables and fruits that normally would have perished after a week, a month later, still look like they were just picked off the vine. And he says, okay, something's going on here. I don't know what it is, but it has something to do with what's going on in my lab. And then they started drilling down and figured out, yeah, they're the frequencies. And they started categorizing these frequencies and figuring out, what was really beneficial for the body. So, here we are in 2023, and we could put a watch on that has 1,000 frequencies on it. It's absolutely amazing and fantastic.
And so, I mean, you just summed it up so succinctly. It's just perfect. What we need to let people know is that maybe back at that time they were able to measure and the speed at which these frequencies went through your body and could change your body. And what they figured out that is prescriptions and other things go through your body at about a foot a second, which is really slow. Very, very slow. And those things go through your body more in a chemical wave rather than a vibrational wave. And it goes through your body so slowly that 98% of them are burned up. So that's why we have to take medication or things over and over and over again, because our body only lets us absorb about 2% of it. So in my mind, and maybe I'm being very controversial, but I think that's why these frequencies were taken away from us. We were told that frequencies were illegal and Rife was destroyed and his machines were destroyed. And I think it's because they knew the speed at which frequencies move through your body. So I just think that's something that we ought to be learning about. And don't just believe me or Sean. How about you, Rye? Look it up, check it out and see. But frequencies move through your body at about 4.3 times the speed of sound, and they're 100% absorbed. So, and another way to say it, each frequency is like a song. And it's not going to hurt you either. So we knew thousands of years ago, just like Sean said, from the drums and the bowls and the chants and prayers, everybody knew, cultures knew thousands of years ago that a song had different variations, and one variation of an acoustical note was not going to hurt your system. You might like one better than another, but one of the biggest questions that people always ask me is, can so-and-so use if they have a pacemaker? And it's yes. It's always yes. If they can listen to songs, if they can listen to you talk to them, they can use this along with their pacemaker. What they have to be careful with is to make sure that they don't stand in front of a microwave, So different frequencies could make some changes, but not acoustical ones. They are safe. So here's what we're finally getting to this idea. Sean wanted to talk about men and women's just a little bit. And I guess I'm not for sure how much time we have, but these are some specific categories for women and for men on the watch. So basically, some couples have started out by sharing a watch. And what do you think, Sean? How long does that last?
Lasts about a week, maybe 3 or 4 days, and then the other spouse, and it's usually the husband, because the wife's going to get anything she wants, and she'll take pity on the poor husband and say, yes, I'll get you one, but mine is coming back. And if it wasn't mine before, it is now. So when yours comes, you'll have one too. But for right now, this is my watch. But it happens all the time. A decent percentage of our customer base is actually referral. And exactly what you just said is that they got one in, one of the spouses, and honestly, Linda, it's usually the women that come to me
That
for these
order.
because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
they're they're just a little bit more astute. They're a little bit more, they're more into doing research, and they've got a little bit more of an open ear towards, new types of technology. So generally speaking, but once they really get an idea of how easy it is to use, the benefits of it, the wide range of use, then and I do get a lot from referrals from family members or friends. It's like, hey, my friend, such and so I would say probably at least 20 to 25% of our sales with the WavWatch are referrals, either from a spouse or to another friend and family member that is turning them on
Mhm.
to it.
Right. Because I really try to encourage people and thank people because they are so sharing. It is amazing. I think I have one of my best testimonies from people that share, and one testimony was from a neighbor that was, I can't remember now. She loaned the Wave Watch to her neighbor for 2.5 days. And there was something specific, time wise on that while she was going to be gone or something. And the neighbor had a stroke. And within 2.5 days, when she came back, all of a sudden the neighbor could lift her hand above her head. She could uncurl her fingers. She could walk better. She could walk up and down the steps where she couldn't before. And then most important, her bowel movements were so much better, or her, incontinence problems. And that just released the family from a lot of the caretaking positions that they'd had to take all night long with her. And then the latest update I had was that her speech improved too, and that's sharing and caring for people. And I just am so thrilled when I get a testimony from somebody. Oh, yeah, I shared it. Another one I just got the other day was a sister. A lady had just bought a watch in my office, and she traveled to Colorado to see her sister. And her sister's hands were really jerky, some kind of a, reflex. And so this one sister who was using it for insomnia and having some results took her watch off and shared it with her sister. And within the time that she was there, the sister no longer had the jerk. She had a little, So what is it going to take for us to be sharing with everybody? That's
Yeah,
that's
that's
where we're
beautiful.
at.
What
Is learning that we
frequency?
can share.
Yeah, what frequency, Linda, was she running for the jerky motions? Do
I
you know?
believe she said she was using the tremors and the nerves.
Got
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's the same thing with men and women sharing. And I think I shared this last time, but it's such a lovely story. I had a man who called me, and he had actually bought the watch for his wife for Parkinson's. And when he called, you could tell that he was a little embarrassed. He couldn't quite figure out what to say. And then he finally just blurted out, and he says, "And we sleep really close together."
My
And
God, I
I'm going,
love that.
okay. And he goes, and I could feel her frequencies when we were sleeping. And he said,
Wow.
I woke up the next morning and my feet didn't hurt. So, of course, I'm going, oh, so neat. And he goes, no, you don't understand. They've hurt for 15 years. I've been on medications for 15 years. So, how much sweeter could it get? You have the perfect example of a couple that bought one to share. They shared it by hugging closely.
Oh my God, I
And
love that.
then at a later point in time, he got another watch, but it didn't take long. Within 2 weeks, he was off his medication. So I do have that written somewhere, and I couldn't quite put my fingers on it, but I love to tell that story. So sharing is the ultimate idea of the Wave Watch, and you can share it with your pets too. You could have the
Yeah.
Wave Watch on for anxiety, and your pet hops up in your lap and they're getting those frequencies. So I've had a lot of feedback from pet owners saying the anxiety level has changed, or that kind of thing. So anyway, don't know where we're at. You'll have to slow me down on this probably, Sean.
Oh,
But
good.
I also wanted to let you know that all of those ideas for men and women can be overshadowed by one problem, right, Sean?
Yeah.
You're looking at it
Dental.
on the screen. You're looking
Yep.
at it. because every single one of those problems can be reflected by teeth. So even though that isn't in the men and women's category, I hope that you know by now that dental infections are paramount. So I've got some images to show you that I've taken in my office and that as I've worked through these. So most of these frequencies for dental are about 30 minutes long. And you don't have to do anything. You just click a button like you know, Sean, and it'll play from one through the other. It'll play about 4.5 to 5 hours, at a time. So you could play it at night. And that makes it really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But here's some of the reasons why I have, jawbone infection, earaches, dental, roots, gums, something called dental 1 and dental 2. And this is a question. People say, well, what's the difference? Which one do I run? We'll run both of them. It's just that there were so many frequencies measured by different organizations that we have enough to, just categorize it. It's kind of like an Elvis song. Do you like this Elvis song, or do you like this Elvis song?
Right.
Which one does your body like? Let it sway,
Yeah.
So, different ways to think it. So play through all of those ideas and use these as preventive ideas.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I've had these issues. I've had issues with dental infections or I mean just different things where maybe there was a little bit of tooth pain or something. But a lot of it, I don't have gingivitis, but I'm still running gingivitis because I feel like prevention is good. And it's so funny you got lymphs and detox because I just ran that like 2 days ago. I said to myself, when was the last time I did a lymph and detox? And then, I was kind of having that sort of that thought process about, wow, you know what? My blood and my body is very much like a car filter. All these different lymph nodes and all this is collecting all this toxic material. When was the last time I flushed it out? And so, a lot of it's prevention. Obviously, there might be times where you really do have a serious health issue with, the flu, Lyme disease, whatever it might be. And we can get into a lot of these because, Linda, with 1,000 frequencies, there's pretty much not anything that you're not going to find on there. And I know that the history of you developing this watch had to do with a situation that your mom and your sister had fallen into with breast cancer. And even though we're not necessarily talking about that, it's technically another cell that runs on another frequency that also can be, identified and clearly looked at. So,
Right.
so basically, there's no reason why you shouldn't have this because and even for myself, I'm glad we're touching on all these. The ones for men, I'm talking to a lot of men that have issues with prostate, period. I mean, I'm just talking to a lot of men that have prostate issues. And I've had those actually myself because I went through a situation with kidney stones, as I've told you. That was before I met you because I had the surgery done. But that messed up a lot of stuff. It messed up my kidneys. It messed up my bladder. There was a lot of stones. And it's still somewhat lingering a little bit, but I put this on and wear this, and that's a really big deal. And, and a lot of men, even though it's not a popular subject to talk about, are dealing with erectile dysfunction. And that is another thing that a lot of people are looking for solutions for. And so that's another one that's actually very prevalent, for any men that are out there that have issues with prostate. I would tell you that probably 70% of the people that I know in my age group are having some type of issue with prostate. And I don't know why specifically, but I do know that I've run that frequency code. And like with running it for hair loss, I can feel the tingling. I know right where it's running because it's reducing the inflammation. And so, there's just so many things that we can talk about, but today, and I know actually the last time we spoke, we got into the whole situation with parasites, which is actually just rampant. I mean, nobody realizes how bad that thing is. Linda, I ran parasite frequencies for 3 days straight, literally 3 days straight. Now, I know every frequency is different. I know the length of time. But when I put this thing on and I run it, oops, excuse me, I usually can get at least 8 hours of use out of the watch, usually 8 to 10, depending on what it is. It takes me about 15 minutes to charge the watch. So I'm running it for 8 hours. And like you said, you can just set the main category for parasites or whatever you want to get into. Like here, it's dental, and it's like the old school record players where they play the record, it drops down, then it goes up and clicks the next one, it drops down. So, you just hit that one button and it's going to run through all those. And people say, well, how long should I use it for? It's already preset. You don't even have to worry about it because every one of the frequencies, depending on how long you should run it for, is all preset in there. So, with that being said, um, there's a lot of things out there that they're trying to solicit to as options for all these different things. And if you understand energy and frequency, and the other thing, the other quote that I love is Albert Einstein that said, the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies, right? That's like his famous,
Yeah.
and that's out of the 30s. I mean, these guys were way, 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 way ahead of their time. Just a real quick thing about Rife, and I might have said this in the last one, Royal Rife, who very few people really know, um, back in the 1920s, he used to work for Zeiss microscopes. And being that I'm in the medical industry, Zeiss is the top surgical microscope. If you're doing really small incisions or doing brain surgery, you're usually going to use a Zeiss microscope. Back in the 1920s, he built a microscope with over 5,000 working parts that could do the magnification of 60,000 time magnification. So this guy back in the 20s main
Wow.
technology that really we didn't even replicate until about 5 or 6 years ago. We were using the electron microscope, but that could only look at something when it was dead. Rife back in the 20s was basically looking at live cells and organisms and then running these frequencies through those cells to see what they resonated at. And so, now obviously we've got all those categorized, but when it comes into all this different type of technology, there's some real amazing people that were pioneers that really helped enable us to understand how this worked. So, to be able to cultivate it with just the watch is just absolutely amazing.
And to try to let everyone be aware, I think, is my whole idea. And then I'm a teacher, and so I love to just share ideas with you and let you know it's like, here's why you need to play the dental, because all of those ideas are kind of come into play right here in these images that I've taken. This is a thermography camera image, and this is basically just looking at body heat, and that's the whole idea of it. So here's somebody, gee, how hard is it to tell us that they've got a dental infection? And look what this dental infection is doing. It's running down their throat,
Yeah.
running right down their throat, messing up their thyroid, messing up their immune system. And then this picture on the back is another image that we take. And this is your T2 area. And when chiropractors adjust this, they're trying to work with your immune system. Well, that's what this is showing. Their immune system isn't functioning, And then you look with the same image with their head up just a little bit, you can just see how nasty this thyroid is from dental drainage. So it gets worse. Every tooth goes through our whole body. So I have young men that come into my office that actually have breast cancer because they have a tooth. This young man had a dental abscess, and it was just unbelievable. And then he had a lump in his chest. So you see that time after time, and we're not taking care of our teeth. So that's why I was trying to tell you, and we've already talked about it, the importance of dental. We don't realize how our teeth affects everything having to do with the men's column and the women's column. So, those ideas are only better by playing the dental. So I don't know if some of you know that there are 8 teeth connected to breast cancer. 2 up and 2 down on each side. How important
Did
is
not
that?
know
Have they
that.
taught us that?
No.
Hey, Riley, did you learn that? Have you learned that anywhere? No,
No,
they
ma'am.
don't teach us that. They absolutely do not teach us that. So about 95% of the breast cancers in women are dental related. Okay. So in my office, I've had 9 women give me testimonies on breast lumps, and what we were playing was the breast area that we showed, to start with. But basically, I also had them play the dental. It's a huge relationship there. And then here's the opposite for guys. This is a little bit different size. I hope you can read this, but the incisors are what bother the kidneys and the prostate, the bladder, uterus also, the rectum, the anus, the pineal gland, and the adrenal glands. So our front teeth here, they know where every single tooth drains to. So this is why it is so important in all the areas that our dental could be affecting. So when Sean asked me to kind of talk about men and women, it's like, well, I can't just not talk about dental because this affects every single one of those organ systems, So
I
it
have
is
to say,
absolutely.
Linda, yeah, after seeing those photos that you just showed me or showed all of us here with that is that's terrifying. You can
Mhm.
literally see in some of those photos where it's literally draining from the mouth area down into all the upper chest. I mean, look at that. I mean, if I didn't think that that was important before, that is a major wake-up call because you can clearly see how the sinus infection, the mouth infections is really starting to create a lot of toxic material in the body. I mean, that's a I mean, that's shocking actually. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's just it's knowledge, it's education, and that's why I didn't even know it got that deep with that much, you know, um, different side effects that can come from that. But
Mhm.
even now, seeing that, if I wasn't running dental a lot before, I will definitely be running it a lot more here shortly.
And when I put that together, I was like, oh, I've forgotten about this one. I can't believe that it's messed up this guy's thyroid so bad, or this person's thyroid. It is totally amazing what dental does to our whole body. So I have had doctors send men to me for the thermography, trying to trace what tooth was messing up and causing their prostate cancer. And they
The
don't
more
they
we
don't
get, yeah, the more research we get, the more we're really starting to figure out how much stuff is actually coming from the mouth. I know there's always been a lot of talk about how it really affects your heart, but you can see in those images how a lot of that toxic material is literally just draining into the body.
right. And they have it all mapped out. It's been mapped out. It's Chinese meridians, it's been around for 6,000 years also. But they know that the wisdom teeth are the ones that drain down into the heart and are connected with heart attacks. This incisor tooth is not going to cause a heart attack. It's going to cause, prostate problems. So they know which teeth go where and drain where. And shouldn't we be taught that? That's what gets me. That's really what gets me. So if you're interested, I don't know if I get to advertise, Sean, but
Please
I do
advertise,
have
please.
a free Facebook, and it's called WavWatch Frequency Fanatics. And you can go there and just join the private group for, click a button. And I have 75 different topics where I explain this in length. I'm just showing you a slide or two, but I take breast cancer and break it down for 2 hours. I take prostate, give you some ideas so that you have more than just the simple idea I'm giving you now. But any topic like that, you can go there and search it and maybe learn a little bit more information. And that's what we need to be, is sharing and educating and becoming more advocates for our own body. So my last idea, Sean, are we ready for weight loss?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I have quite a few ideas on weight loss, and people say, well, which one do I play? It's like, play them all. It's a
Yeah.
playlist. I've already made a playlist for you of certain songs that go together, and these all work for weight loss. Now, you can pick one out of here and play it longer if you want, but don't forget to play all of them in a loop once in a while. So,
Mhm.
addictions, gosh, I don't think that needs, overemphasize at all. Now, some
No.
of you may not know about this virus, and I hope I'm saying it right, the adeno or adenovirus. 36. And the second one, this virus has been found in over 30% of people who have weight problems. So don't you think you want to get rid of that virus? It's connected to weight. And that's
Mhm.
why it's so important. And it's in this folder because you wouldn't know. It's like, oh, I want to lose weight. Let me go pick out that virus that's in the virus folder and I'll play it once in a while. No, it's already done for you. All you have to do is touch the button, you know? So it's there. And then, of course, your adrenals have to be balanced. We want our cellulite, you know, and connective tissue as strong as we can. We want detox. You've really done a good job covering how detox and cleansing is kind of like what we should be, what we are already doing for our
Mhm.
automobiles. We just don't do it for us, you know.
Right.
And then, of course, we have emotional eating. Sure, who doesn't have emotional eating? And maybe that's one you notice on your own, you recognize. Well, that's one you could play for a longer period of time. But overall, you know, make sure that you play the whole folder once in a while as a group. And of course, why would
Right.
you leave out fat burn one, fat burn two, fat and just fat burn? There's just different frequencies for that idea. And you know, we can talk about liver and kidney a while and lymph detox, but you know the idea of what we're talking about there. We're trying to make sure that you are getting that those systems built up in your body so that they can help you when that weight loss starts going on, when everything gets balanced. So here's a frequency for overweight. Here's another frequency for pancreas balance. Okay, of course, our blood sugar has to be balanced. Our thyroid has to be balanced. There's one for weight loss, one, weight loss two, weight loss modulated, weight loss organ balance. They're all just a little bit different, you know. So there have been about 8 major, I don't know if I can say the word agencies, but 8 different groups of organizations that measured frequencies. And so this is a combination of things that I was able to put together from those agencies, not just Rife or Tesla, you know, that kind of thing. So, and they're all, you know, I've changed them all over to an acoustical frequency, or they were done previous to me working with them. So, one of my favorites is tummy tuck. So this is one that I do loop. I cannot say that it's 100% effective all of the time, but if I know I have a special event to go to, I play tummy tuck all night long on a loop. And when I get up the next morning, I've lost 3 or 4 inches around my tummy, you know, and it'll stay that way maybe a week. It doesn't stay forever. So maybe I need to be doing a little bit more. I haven't quite found a combination, but several other women have said, yeah, it really does kind of tuck your tummy in, you know, so you could have fun with that one. And it's basically a form of, you know, cellulite. It's tightening up the cellulite, but lots of ideas there. What do you think, Sean? Is that helpful for men and women?
My God, it's super helpful for men and women. So, we went into we've covered so much good stuff today. We went into the men's, we went into the dental, and now we're getting into all these weight loss ones. Um, and we probably only hit about 100 frequencies, maybe 150 out of the 1,000. That's why I'm
Yeah.
glad you plugged that Facebook, because one thing, Linda, that you have done, which I really respect and appreciate because it's very time consuming, is you've broken down every subsection and really put out a lot of data and a lot of information. So for people that are out there, that are looking at this, you have a very, very in-depth catalog of knowledge. And for me personally, I really like the video content because it's really nice if you're driving to work, or you're sitting home, getting ready. You can listen while you're driving and really absorb this information. um, if it's possible, can we just go back to, we touched on the men's, but can we go into
Mhm.
um, the
There we
women's
go.
ones there? And you and Riley are much more suited probably to talk about that. But I know, in a past relationship that I had, the gal that I was with had a lot of issues from time to time with bladder and urinary tract infections. And I know that those can be very uncomfortable. And, if you can get in front of some of that before it gets, too out of control. But do you want to go in and talk a little bit about some of these?
Sure. Now, I don't have exactly what's in each one of these. It's in the booklet. This is just the name of the category. So I think
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
probably about 10 or 12 ideas in the, bladder and urinary tract. And again, it's the same idea. I've already made you a playlist and you just punch a button and play through all of them. Now, you may not know exactly which one is doing the trick, or maybe all of them are helping. But once in a while, somebody really will feel, a surge or an energy, or something go through their body. They can just tell that something's going on, and they activate their watch so that they can see it, and all they have to do is press it for a second on the side, and then it'll light up and they can see what's playing. And if you are able to do that, that would be a frequency set that would be speaking to your body, and you could isolate that and play that just a little bit longer. Now, it's really important to, remember those little ideas. You just never know when that comes up again. But anyway, breast has about 16 different categories. And I'm just going to kind of cry almost a little bit. But Sean, you've already mentioned that both my mother and sister kind of started this whole trail because they had breast cancer about 6 months apart. And the only thing my doctors could think to do for me was a double mastectomy. That was their choice. Can you imagine? And I was a school teacher. It's like, but it was my response was, they're not going to touch me. I can figure out something better than that. And so I started a business called BRAS. That's what I call it: Breast Research, Awareness, and Support. So that's the acronym. And so I do have quite a few women come in that have breast lumps, and they're not necessarily cancer. I'm just saying breast lumps. And when I was developing the prototype, I had 9 women who had breast lumps go away in about 30 minutes in the office. Drastically
That's
reduce
amazing.
or almost go away in 30 minutes, And so there are different types of ideas. So there's breast calcifications, there's breast, just a lump, breast cyst, and those ideas are all available. And, which one do you play? Unless you are a person who knows how to muscle test, which is a big concept, and we might talk about it at some other point in time. But if you've never heard the word muscle testing or kinesiology, I have that topic covered on my 75 topics that you could look up. And because I only have 30 minutes to work with women, I can muscle test, and I kind of use my fingers and feel intuitively a little bit more which frequency set would work best for them. And those were the results 9 times. It was 100% effective. Anybody that had a lump, it changed drastically in 30 minutes. Hair loss is a little bit harder to pin down, but I have frequencies like circulation in there, and alopecia 1, alopecia 2. And those are all helpful. So I have had, a couple of them, and that's what I'm working on myself right now, is trying to do that. And thyroid, something happened. So I'm having some hair problems myself. So I, tie those together and work with those. And then hormones are also connected with hair loss. So, all of these women are almost tied together. Menstrual cycle, there's a whole 5 or 6 different ideas on that you can play through. And like I said, you may have already seen the little tool that I showcased earlier that that you put on your stomach, and then you wear something else around and some cords and things like that. That's just for one idea out of here. One idea, and we've got 999 other ideas on the WavWatch. So I hope you appreciate that we've got some depth here in this. And then the reproductive system, same way, and STDs. I have quite a few women who say, I don't know what changed, but my body just feels so much better. And she said, they'll say, I just played through everything having to do with the woman folders. So
that's it. And the key thing here, Linda, is that these are primary sets, and then off of these primary sets, you have a whole list of subsets that go underneath it. So,
yes.
and like I know for me, and you brought it up, I don't necessarily need to know exactly which one to hit. I mean, there's certain ones that obviously I'll hit and run, but you just get to the top and hit start, and then it just cycles through them all. And so, for say bladder, urinary tract, there might be, 8 to 10 or 12. You don't need to worry about necessarily which one per se. Just get into that category and just run the whole set through there. And that honestly, it's so user friendly. It's so complete in the scope of how it's working. And as a guy that loves Royal Rife, like I literally love Royal Raymond Rife, and the contributions that that guy made and the beating that that poor gentleman
Oh, yeah.
took. Um, and if you're using Rife technology nowadays, which you have Spooky 2, you have a lot of really good technology, but how do you use it? I got to go sit in a room with that machine, and that's all. I mean, like that's all I can do. I literally have to go into an office or into an area and sit down there. I cannot just put on a technology on my wrist and then go about my daily, routine, go hiking, go to work. Like that's the thing about this. If let's say infrared saunas, love infrared, great technology. I don't have time to drive down to an infrared sauna and sit in there for an hour or two. I don't have that time. And so one of
No.
the things I love about the watch is that you're getting all the frequencies and you're getting all the benefits while you do your daily routine. You're not having to, schedule things out and go drive, to here, there. This is all being done, while you're just going about your daily routine. And quite frankly, at least 50% or more of the time, I even forget I'm wearing the watch. It's on and it's running and it's like, oh, that's right. Where am I at? Oh, yeah. Okay. Boom. Yeah. I literally forget that I'm running it. And because you can adjust the volume, if I'm in a situation where there's nobody around, I might play the volume a little bit louder. If I'm in an area that's a little more quiet, I might, turn it down a little bit. But, I just come on, say, boom, okay, if I'm running this, okay, great. I'll check back in a few hours. I literally forget that it's even running. And now, like we've talked about wearing it at night, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to run some frequencies tonight while I'm sleeping because it's really comfortable. I mean, it doesn't, it's very comfortable and easy to wear. But
And
I just love the fact it's a no-brainer. It's on, it's running, it's working, and there's not there's not one person out there watching this video that can't find at least 10 frequencies to 50 frequencies that they could be running right now to maintain health and wellness, to keep their body cleansed, to keep their all their adrenals and liver and all that. I mean, there's something there for everybody, something there for everybody. And so this might be a good segue to bring on our young persons,
there we go.
Miss Riley Willis over there. Miss Riley Willis.
Hi.
So what are your favorite frequencies that you run? You've been wearing it now for about what, 3-4 months?
Yes. And honestly, I just discover a new one every single day. And we were talking about like the different categories and the subcategories. I think the first one that immediately drew me in was obviously emotions, because I'm very sensitive and I'm a feeler. And so self-image balance was one of the new ones that I saw. Amazing, incredible. But mental clarity and emotional balance were two that I would go back and forth on constantly. And inflammation underneath the pain category, that's a really big one for me, having migraines and stuff like that. And then there was the acne setting, and then the emotional eating balance underweight. And
I think I need to try that one a little bit more. Thanksgiving's coming up,
That's right.
well, now
That's
that we know
right.
about tummy tuck, that's an even
Yeah.
bigger one.
There you go.
But the detox and the cleansing is a really big one too. But and parasites, obviously. The anxiety and depression was one. But honestly, I did hair growth, I did everything, but emotional balance was the one that I would just continuously come back to. And just I would run the whole thing of emotions. And that really changed a lot for me. That helped
Riley,
me.
do you mind if I share how old you are?
No, go for it. 25.
25?
Yes.
Is that right? 25? Yeah,
I'm
25.
25.
So, but this is a 25-year-old person that's finding a lot of value and a lot of frequencies that she can use. Obviously, I'm in my 50s, so, and I'm, whatever. But and then we kind of started off, Linda, talking about the kids, because as parents, we're all looking for ways to help the kids and deal with a lot of this stuff. And I mean, honestly, these poor kids right now are getting put through the ringer when it comes to
Oh,
the foods that they're putting, all the preservatives. The kids, the halogen lights in these schools are just pounding these kids. So, we've talked a lot with physicists talking about how that's not good. It's basically really not good for them to be under these fluorescent lights and all the stuff that they
mhm.
put these kids through. And then, but it's like there's so many different options that they're trying to say, well, this is an option, this is an option. But what about, just energy and frequency that's non-invasive, that's not toxic, that's not, it's natural. The body, all the cells, everything's resonating at a frequency. So why not address the frequency of the body? Why not give it the frequencies it needs to kind of get back into homeostasis? But Riley, thank you so much for for that feedback. I remember when you were talking to me about acne, and I'm thinking, wow, I didn't even know it had acne, because it's been a while since I've dealt with acne or even acne issues. But I know for appearance for young people, it's pushed so hard. So, having all these different frequencies, but the emotional balance, and I mean, the young people are just being put through a lot right now. So
Mm.
Riley, that was great feedback. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
And
And I
Linda,
get to
she
say
is,
I'm of that 70 generation, and so I'm 70. And so we have our own set of problems that you never think about when you're 25, Riley, you know. And I
And
thought the watch was pretty. Go ahead.
I can't imagine. No, you go ahead.
So I was worried about the watch being too big, and maybe a little bit noisy or whatever. And people have such fun reactions. It's like,
People love
no, it's
it.
not too big. I
Yeah.
can read it that way. And people notice it, and then they want to know what it is.
that's right.
And then other people are saying, oh, I turn it up as loud as I can when I go into a room with a lot of people in it. And that way I can show off the watch. So
That's
everybody
awesome.
has something different that they've been able to, have fun with the watch and share it with others. So were you going to put Dylan on the spot too? Did I interrupt that?
No,
No, we
that's
got to put Dylan on the spot. We got him. We got him here. We got to put him on the spot.
Oh, Sean.
Dylan, give us some feedback. What do you think? I know you're just getting it, and
yeah, he's
but
brand
what do you?
new.
Yeah.
Just
Brand
learned
new.
about it.
So
Brand new.
yeah, I mean, I would say just like going through the book and just like going through all the information that like Riley has definitely told me, because it definitely, when I saw her for the first time with it, I was like,
Yes.
oh, all right then, but I was like, it was really cool. So I mean, I'm just like Riley said, I'm very new. It's all brand new. So I'm just, kind of soaking all the
Excited.
knowledge and soaking it up and just, seeing what works for me, where I can kind of, figure it out from there. So
Perfect.
yeah.
But he was
I
very
love it.
excited. He was. He asked me
Yeah.
about it 3 days in a row. And you
Literally.
make it so easy to understand it. And a lot of our stuff with just technology in general is really hard. And you guys talk about calling us young people and all this. And it's just funny because it's young people have a really hard time understanding even the thought of everything having a frequency. And so you do it so well, and it's just easy to understand how it helps. And so it's easy to explain, and it's easy to share with family members or something like that without that like instant confusion and hesitation.
Well,
So-
I'm glad, because that's what we need to be doing, is letting people know there are other alternatives to what we've been indoctrinated into our whole lives.
Yes.
So
I love it.
Yeah, it's such a great technology, and it's a special price. And Linda, now that we're talking about price, as we did on the first video, if you've watched this video, and in the old days it was an 850 frequency watch, now it's
Right.
1,000.
Yeah.
So it always gets better. And so you're going to save $100 if you mention this video. If you contact me or Riley, or you go to Linda's website and use the code USA MedBed 100. But if you contact us or you purchase it online, we're basically discounting the watch $100. And it's a very affordable technology. I mean, we were talking earlier about some of the Rife technology and other stuff that's out there. And we carry, energy frequency technology. We're very familiar, but a lot of this stuff can get into the thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. And how much time do I have to sit in a room in front of a plasma energy device? Not a lot, really. I mean, even if and we have them and we've got them here in our facility, and I really almost, but for this 724, this thing I can wear 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, always find something that I can run it with. And, it's the wave of the future. That's why it's such a great name, the wave of the future. But I think that, the exciting thing, Linda, is that you're passing on technology that me and you are using right now with things that at our age are very relevant. But we're seeing the younger generation not only use the technology, but getting the knowledge and the information on how all of this works. And nobody out there is a bigger fan of this technology than Riley. I mean, she is always talking about it with friends, with family. She absolutely loves it. And she basically has probably sold more of this technology definitely than myself. And she's just such a great ambassador, because when I see her using it, and honestly, Riley, we work together. We're actually right down the hall from each other, but I really don't pay much attention to what frequency she's running. So even on this call, I'm really learning for the first time what frequency she's using and what frequency she's actually running. But it just excites me. It really lets me know that, number one, Linda, this technology that you've created is getting its hands into all different, all different age groups, all different types of lifestyles. And it's technology that'll be here for the next, 1,000+ years or more. But it's got to be exciting because you're helping so many people by creating this. And, we're living proof here, but your website and your YouTube channel literally has hundreds and hundreds of documented testimonials of all different people, all shapes, sizes, all different types of things. So I'm super grateful and honestly very honored and humbled that we're able to to be able to represent and provide the technology to people, because before anything else, like with anything, we're your greatest fans and we're your customers too. And so our goal really is to share the knowledge and share, the benefits of what this technology offers and the knowledge of, where it's coming from and how it really works. But, for you to take the time to hang out with us and share this information and put these screens and all the research that you've done, I'm very, very grateful. And I just want to say, for me and Riley both, a huge thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. You are so enthusiastic. I love that you love the WavWatch. It just makes it so fun to talk to everybody. So thank you. Thank you, Riley and Sean and Dylan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And Linda, I know, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when I first met you, we hung out for a few days together and you showed this to me. And I said, oh my God, this is the greatest piece of technology. I mean, I was like, oh my God.
I
it
believe
hasn't
it.
changed.
He is always enthusiastic, and I can always hear the frequency coming from his office if I even step out into the hallway. You know where he is by the sound of the frequency.
Yeah.
Well, you never know when you're really going to need it. One example, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it on your wrist. You may not be playing anything because it could shut off, but it's nice to have it. Because one day I woke up and I thought I had a sinus infection, and I just started playing sinuses, and that didn't seem to take care of it. And then towards noon, I got a headache, so then I played headache, and that didn't seem to take care of it. And then kind of at bedtime, I started playing dental, and that didn't take care of it. And then I went to bed and I woke up in the middle of the night screaming. I thought I was screaming, but evidently it was a silent scream, and I was going like this. And my teeth were like white hot feeling or red hot feeling on the top row of teeth. And luckily, I had it in my thoughts, and I went to bone osteomyelitis, and it was a bone infection is what I pressed. And again, I was still like this, I couldn't even keep my wits about me. And I've never had that happen before, but I pressed the right thing. And within seconds, I felt this energy go through my arm and all the way up my shoulder and up my throat, the side of my neck.
Yeah.
And then literally I felt it go across my jawline and up and down on each tooth on my
Wow.
top jaw.
Wow.
And it just went, and it was, I could feel it. And maybe it was my, my really weird state, in the middle of the night, but literally I could feel it go up and down in my teeth, and it just went zoom, and that pain was gone. And I had been suffering that pain, whatever it was, something all day long. And then it finally manifested, but I had a tool on to help me. I guess that was a big story to just say, that's why you want to wear it. You never know when something like that might happen.
That's right. And when you do wear it on your left wrist. So your left wrist is absorbing energy. Your right hand gives energy, but just when you do wear it, please make sure you put it on your left wrist. And that's about it. So Linda, we've had a great call today. We kind of went over the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you'd like to say before we sign off?
Oh, I think we just shared and shared. It's good. It's perfect. Yeah. Thank you for letting me give some of those ideas out.
I love that. So hang with me for just a sec. I'm going to sign us off, but stay with me and we'll talk to you here before we finish up. But Linda, once again, thank you so much. On behalf of myself, Riley, and Dylan, we love you and we're so grateful. And Carl, thank you for everything you're doing. And we'll look forward to seeing you again on another call in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds great. All right. Bye-bye.
All right.